Welcome back to the Nikki Clarke Radio Show on We Are Hotline, and we've got some more incredible stories for you to hear. The show is about transforming lives one story at a time, and we have a really interesting woman on the line. She has been a answer to a lot of parents' prayers over the little while since she started her company. Her company is called Genius Parents, Genius Kids, and she provides services for parents in areas of discipline and communication. Please welcome the founder, Fatoumata Keita, to the show.
Hi, Nikki.
How are you today?
Very good. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here and sharing information on a hot topic for many people who have children, and that's all about being, a parent and a good parent. When we have children, we're not given a manual. We kind of have to figure out how to raise our children through trial and error. But if we do have the expertise of those like yourself to come in and help us, I know that the majority of us will gladly take it. So let's talk a little bit about your background leading up to what you're doing today.
Well, for me, becoming a parent was very natural. And when I had my first daughter, I was very young. I was 25, and I was at lost. I didn't know what to do, and my daughter was crying most of the time, and I was very depressed, tired, with the lack of sleep and everything. And this has led to some communication issues with my daughter. Luckily, I was in a country, Germany at the time, where I could get help of somebody who knew how parenting was done and who knew how babies reacted and what to do when they had those moments of crankiness. That was very helpful, and it helped me to go through those really tough moments as a new mother. So many years later, I transitioned to become a teacher. And I see in my classroom a lot of kids are tired and they have problems with math and with, I teach in French, with French and everything. So then I decided to found my company, which is really Einstein Meets Fun, because I see that every child has the potential to be very good academically, but if they have emotional issues attached to them, they get into difficulties in school. And the program that I created, which is a 7-week program, is called Genius Parents, Genius Kids, because I realized that most of the problem that arise from us parents, because children, they come with an open mind. They're ready to learn anything and everything. But the way we train them from birth on, we limit their potential, basically. Mm-hmm. So when I created the program, it was really for the parents to go back into their own childhood and uncover all those problems, issues they had with their own parents or their surrounding, probably not with their parents, but with the people who raised them, to go through those issues and overcome them so they can become the best parent they can be for their children. And I have helped families into that sense, where I can see now the communication is better and the child is learning and thriving in school.
Fantastic. So it's a tender balance of nature versus nurture when you're raising a child, because children have inborn traits. They have temperament, and these are areas that you have to kind of help to develop as a parent.
Sorry. When you are in school, anything can happen.
I appreciate you're in your natural habitat. You're in your school right now. So, yes, anything can happen. But so when you're working with the children's own innate characters and you're trying to develop them, so you have to be very aware of the type of environment you're setting up for them. So that has everything to do with, where they live, how they eat, what, food you provide them, and also with sleep patterns. this helps to, bring the best, or it helps to, detract from the child's development. So let's talk about sleep time as an area where, parents may really have a challenge, especially in the early years with children. What are some really good sleep patterns for parents to develop? What would you recommend?
Mm-hmm. Well, there is a big difference between North America and Germany. And when my children were younger, I learned that the babies have to sleep, let's take 24 hours minus their age. So if the baby is 2 months old, they need to sleep 22 hours, okay? And it seems a lot, but this is the time their brain needs to grow. And most of the brain development happens between the first 2 years of the child.
Yeah.
And when they don't have the sleep they need, this becomes problematic because their brain is not creating the neuronal connections it needs in order to function later on, to memorize things and be able to do some calculations and things like that. So for children, it's very important to develop good sleeping habits. If you don't have good sleeping habits yourself, it's very difficult for you to go and have a routine that is very consistent on a daily basis. Yes, some days you may not be able to make your routine, but if you can maintain it 80% of the time, you can make a big difference in your child's brain growth.
Excellent.
And aside from that, some children need to take a break during the day. So nap time becomes very important then, to give them that break of 20 minutes to half an hour so they can recover and reset themselves. So as a parent, you have to judge, really.
Okay. Yeah, and it also depends on the child's needs, right?
Yes.
So some child may need more sleep. Some children may need less. It all depends on their natural makeup. So let's talk a little bit about discipline. And I see that as as an educator, that the times have changed where discipline is concerned. I see a lot of relaxed parenting where, young children seem to be getting away with a lot more and testing their parents' limits and really crossing what I see as boundaries in terms of just disobedience. What would you recommend in terms of disciplining children? I don't believe in physical punishment at all, but I do believe in methods of redirection and logical consequence. What would you recommend?
Well, discipline is also depends on the routine you have set with the children from the beginning. And I would say they're bound to break the limits, because if they don't break the limits, their survival will be at risk. So their brain is programmed to go over the limits and discover as much as possible in their surroundings. And that's very natural. And you can even set a way for them to do that without it coming to be a disciplinary issue. If you set boundaries, you have to realize that the boundaries have to be flexible and they move. When they grow older, you have to also move the boundaries further, make them bigger and larger. Let's say, for example, when my kids were younger, we had something called good living practices, which I took from the pharmaceutical industry. So we sat down together. What would it take for us all to be living here and thriving and be our best most of the time? Yes. Not all the time, but most of the time. Okay, so if you do these things, and that's okay, there's no consequence, or minimal consequence. But if you were to jump out of the window, for example, there will be a huge consequence for you first, because you're going to hurt yourself, and I will be very upset. So to have those kind of discussions with your children, what they can do and what they cannot do at that moment, because eventually one day will arrive, they will do it, right? So if you set those things with them on a regular basis and you check on with them, they will be disciplined without you having to really do much. What happens usually, we don't set expectations with our children. We just think that they're miniature adults and they're supposed to know, but they really don't know. And they assume that they can do things, and later on find out they were not supposed to do those things. And we as parents, we become then upset, and then we talk about discipline and this and that. And at that moment, they quite don't understand why we're very upset. And to them, it's a very minimal thing, and we take it as a big thing. So setting also how we view things with them is very important from the beginning. You can use storybooks. I had storybooks in French, which were mini books, okay, about all kinds of disciplinary issues. And these characters would get into trouble for things, and I will read the stories with my children, and then from then question, okay, if I were to do the same thing, what would happen? And they will ask those type of questions, and then you can have those discussions beforehand and not run into all those disciplinary problems. And also, the way they are at 3 years old and 6 years old, that's the way they will be as a teenager. So to have a smooth teenage time, you have to prepare it from the age of 0 to 6. Teenage problems arise from way, way before, but they explode when they're teenagers.
Okay. And that's when the brains, when teenagers' brains, their wiring gets very intricate. And they start to, solidify as they get older. But, yes, this is where another height or sensitive period of brain development happens. So that's a really good point that you brought up. Well, I know that you've got a wealth of information, and I know you've got this fantastic series of, workshops that are connect with you to sign up, to register, or just to learn more about how to be an effective parent.
To connect with me, I have a Facebook page, Genius Parents, Genius Kids, where I post usually tips for parents. Some are from me, some are from other good sources that I use, and I share with them on my page. I also have a phone number, which is area code +1 647 608-2226, where people can connect with me, and I can freely talk with people. I usually have a 1-hour assessment for free, and after that we develop the program, and then I can start working with the family.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you, Fatoumata. I know as a parent and as an educator, I know the role of raising children is very rewarding, but it takes a lot of patience and some hard work. So I really appreciate the type of time that you've taken out to develop this series for parents. So, Fatoumata, thank you for your time. We look forward to the progress of your company, and if you'd like to come back on the show and give us updates, we'd love to have you. So you have a blessed day, and we'll connect with you soon. You've been listening to the Nikki Clarke Radio Show. Thank you so much, Nikki, for having me. You're welcome. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.